Over the last 20 years, I had the privilege to work with some of the most innovative, creative and successful teams and organizations in the world. And yes, these have been truly transformational times. So much innovation, right? 2003-04, suddenly Facebook appears, then the smartphone came up on the market in 2007. And also we went through incredible economical crises like the one from 2008 and 11. So you can say that, of course, teams have been under a lot of pressure of innovation. But I must say, I have never seen teams struggling as much as they do at the moment. Teams really needing to tap into the deepest resources of what they have to sustain in these transformational times. So the need for team resilience, I would say, is the need of the hour. My name is Christoph Glaser. I'm the CEO of the TLEX Institute, and it's my pleasure to take you in this short video through the 5 dimensions which we at the TLEX Institute believe are key for teams to navigate through these challenging times in a way which allows them to remain creative and productive and that's very important, take care of the well-being of every team member. Well, in short, I would like to take you to the concept of team resilience and how you can apply it for your teams. What transformational years these have been, what challenging years these have been for all of us. We had Corona when we thought this to come to an end. Suddenly war started in the Ukraine. We have the inflation. We have incredible changes in the society, also in many organizations. Well, that had an impact on you and me, on the families we live in. So resilience is key for us as individuals, but also for the teams. And research has shown that many a times the crisis hits the hardest when it's almost over. During a crisis, we mobilize our energies, we deal with it. When the house is on fire, we run. When it subsides and when we start feeling the aftermath of a crisis, it sometimes gets even tougher. Now, as teams, well, we started to work in virtual teams. That was a huge change. We are now working in hybrid working environments. In general, much more distance has occurred. Loneliness in teams has become a huge topic, and stress, obviously. Team resilience is the ability of a team to go through changes, to navigate through these difficult times by, yes, being thrown out of balance, but regaining that, bouncing back, I would even say bouncing forward, right? Finding that balance in a new scenario. And I would like to challenge and say that the resilience in a team is substantially more than the accumulation of the individual resilience of the team players, isn't it? The whole is more than the sum of the parts. When we meet in a team, well, there's an energy amongst each other. There is a space between us. There is a consciousness. Well, there's good energy, bad energy. There's things going on. Remember moments when you stepped into a room, there's a team meeting, there's a family meeting, there's something going on, and you can sense there was a disagreement, a dispute, but they don't want you to feel. Yet it's there in the room, right? Or you come into a room and you feel great, you feel uplifted, there's an energy, people meet. So team resilience is about that whole, which is more than the sum of the parts. Now, it's interesting to observe that in the literature you find, well, hundreds and thousands of books, great books on team effectiveness, but how many have you seen on team resilience? If you have seen a good one, let me know here in the chat. Over the last 20 years, we have worked intensely with teams around the world and have developed a framework which allows us to understand the team resilience as it is right now and develop it as we move forward. So let's start, and I take you to these 5 dimensions of team resilience. The first one is trust. Of course, trust is the very foundation of the collaboration of any team. When it comes to resilience, we would argue that 2 sub-dimensions are key. The first one is reliability. Well, it is just great to know that if somebody says, I will do it, it will be done. I feel relaxed. I don't need to have that also in my mind. My shoulders can relax and we can move forward. Great to have. The second sub-dimension is psychological safety, as you can see here. Well, that's a big one. How safe do team members feel to really say what they think, to talk about how they really feel? Well, that has a huge impact on both health, well-being of team members, but also on team effectiveness and creativity. Imagine a team meeting and in a tune-in everybody shares how they're doing. Everybody says, I'm doing great, but you are not feeling great. Is it okay to say it? What will people do if you say it? Psychological safety is that space where it's okay to say no matter what. And that impacts also to creativity, right? That conflict ability. Let's assume a situation where everybody in a meeting agrees we need to go in that direction. But you, deep in your heart, feel we have to go the other way. Is it safe to say? If so, it's great for innovation and creativity. We need to tap into the collective wisdom. We cannot afford to miss out one idea which could be important. That's psychological safety, and these two dimensions build this dimension of trust. Now let's look into the second one. It's called direction. And we will say there are two sub-dimensions. One is the outer direction. What are we doing as a team? Do we have a shared goal, a shared vision, a shared dream even? And you know, here we would say it's more than just kind of communicating a goal. It's more than a leader saying we have to go in that direction and maybe align everybody around that goal. It's more about co-creating. It's more about creating a situation where goals, visions, dreams are emotionally relevant. That has a huge power, isn't it? The second sub-dimension is that aspect of values and purpose. Nietzsche already said, when the why is clear, the what becomes quite easy. Do we have a compelling reason why we should come to work? Is the why of the what resonating with our inner values? Does that mobilize every individual in the team? You know, not always it can, but we can work on it. That's the good one. Working on purpose does not mean that we need to change what we are doing, but the how, our attitude as a team needs to be adjusted many times, especially in transformational times. So this is the dimension of direction, the outer direction of the what and the inner direction of the why, obviously. That's a source of great energy or frustration in teams. The third dimension, as you can see, is that this dimension of synergy. Well, synergy has two sub-dimensions, we would say. One is structure. It's great to know who's doing what. And when we are living in transformational times, that is changing very fast, right? Everything is changing so fast. I have a sense of chaos. And some people in a team, they need the structure to be able to function. Others love the chaos, yes. Structure, who does what at this point of time. And quite complementary to that, are we ready to help each other? That aspect of interdependencies and support. It's okay and it's important that everybody in the team has deliverables. But when the deadline is close and somebody else needs your help, will you go out of your way to help that person? How happy are we when somebody else is successful in the team? In soccer, and I love soccer, we can have 11 superstars in a team like the FC Basel usually has, right? Or for that matter, maybe even Paris Saint-Germain or Manchester City. We can have 11 superstars, 11 Messis or Ronaldos or Haalands today in a team. But if they don't play the pass to each other, when they're not ready to kind of fight for each other, if they're not happy when the other person scores, we will not win. That's the aspect of interdependencies and support for each other. And together, that's that dimension of synergy when the whole really becomes more than the sum of the parts. How is that unfolding in your team? You know, in the crisis, when there's fear in the system, sometimes it is quite human and natural that we start taking care of ourselves first, right? I need to survive. I need to keep my job. And then silo mentality is not far away. But unfortunately, to be successful, silo mentality doesn't help. So what can we work to increase synergy is an important question. And typically it just starts by looking into the mirror and asking the question in the team, well, how do you see it right now? How are we doing in regard to that dimension? The fourth dimension is that aspect of improvisation. Well, we just talked about structure, but in times of change, we need to be able to be innovative, to be creative. And that is that first sub-dimension of improvisation, creativity. How does fear in the system go along with creativity? When there's a lot of fear in a system, in a team, we want to make sure that we are not doing any mistakes, isn't it? And we don't want to be seen doing mistakes because that could have consequences. But without that tolerance for failure, a culture which embraces failure, creativity and innovation is far. How are we doing in that regard? Very important. The second sub-dimension of improvisation is particularly interesting as I think. Collective confidence. Confidence is so interesting, right? We can say to win, I need confidence, but interestingly, the easiest way to build confidence is to win. So how do I then, chicken and egg, right, build confidence? Well, science would say it's possible also for teams to develop them, and it's a strong predictor of future success. It's that sense of, we will make it. You know what? Yes, it's a crisis, and we have mastered many of them. It's important to look at the legacy and to understand we have gone through many crises, and we will manage this as well. Right? Collective confidence. Then the fifth dimension is the dimension of balance. You might reckon that these 4 dimensions were a lot about doing, but where's the being part? That balance between being and doing is important for any organism on this planet, isn't it? We need to rest and move forward. And here we have 2 subdimensions. The first one is that genuine appreciation and that upliftment of each other. Yes, we need to be able to criticize each other. We need to be able to give constructive feedback and to allow that to create an atmosphere of genuine and sincere appreciation. We need to recognize the goodness that comes across our way. Do we praise? Do we thank each other? Do we appreciate what somebody brings to the table, be it professionally or just personally? Super important, taking time for that. The second subdimension of balance is pausing. Now, we have done a lot of team resilience assessments over the last couple of months, and quite consistently, pausing is scoring the lowest in many organizations. Pausing here is not just that individual team members find a moment to kind of connect to themselves. It is that we as a group have a culture of taking time to celebrate successes, acknowledge failures, reflect on what has happened in the past, and take time to look forward, right? To pause. Every system needs moments of pausing, because dynamic action is only possible if we can really take deep rest. And agility is the ability to both run, but also stop, to understand ourselves, the context, and the opportunities which are there right now. For that, pausing is key. And of course, it's a very interesting question. How are we doing in our team? These are the 5 dimensions of team resilience as we understand them at TLEX. And it is important to reckon that what happens in a team is obviously much bigger than these 5 dimensions, right? A team is a living organism, and no framework can really do justice to it. But if you wish, you can take contact with us. You see the link at the bottom, and we will send you an abstract which explains these 5 dimensions and 10 sub-dimensions of team resilience. You can reflect on it, you can have discussions with your team members, and if you would like to do an assessment, if you would like to be supported by the TLEX team and do an assessment on these dimensions, contact us, and we will be happy to work together with you and your team to look at your team resilience, to develop it, work at it, and with that, being prepared for whatever comes in the future. I hope this was interesting for you. We are committed to provide very precious content on this platform, and if you wish, I invite you to subscribe to it. And we are surely happy to support you and your team on your team resilience journey, to assess it, to develop it, and to make sure that in future you're ready to cope with all types of challenges, to be successful, happy, and well with your team. All the best.